Welcome to the Crazy Hat Chemist. So here we go with another awesome video here. Today's video is the following: how to round numbers correctly, worksheet number 2. So first of all, you are going to make sure that you watch my how to round numbers correctly worksheet 1 first. And in addition, this video and this worksheet has one more little caveat. And that caveat is that you need to round the numbers to the proper number of significant figures. So in order to do this worksheet, you need to watch 2 other videos prior to this. And those 2 videos are right here: how to determine significant figures worksheet 1 and how to determine significant figures worksheet 2. You need to have a first understanding of this, and then you need to know how to round numbers correctly worksheet 1. So we're going to be combining rounding with significant figures on this particular worksheet. So hopefully you are ready for this. So we're going to do just 2 simple examples here first, and we're going to go for that. So here we go. 2 simple examples first. All right, so remember that leading zeros do not count. I'm going to find 3 significant figures, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to use that 3 for rounding. Since that 3 is less than 5, I'm going to chop the number. And then I need to maintain 3 significant figures. So that'd be 0.00156. All right, piece of cake, simple as pie. The next example here is right here. And we are going to round this number to 3 significant figures. Remember, leading zeros do not count for significant figures, but they are important placeholders. So we got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with the 6. The 6 is 5 or greater. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit. I need to maintain my zeros in the front. That was 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. That 9 and 2 become the numbers here, and then that 3 becomes a 4 since I rounded up. All right, fantastic. Those are my 2 examples here, and now we have 48 problems to go through. That might seem like a lot, but we are going to nail this down in no time at all. So here we go. We're going to cruise on over here, and we are going to start right here up at the top. Okay, remember, the rule of this game is to round all of the following to 3 significant figures. So it's really important that you understand we are rounding to 3 significant figures here, folks, not any other number. Okay, so here we go, rounding to 3 significant figures. That's 1, 2, 3. I'm rounding with that 4. That's less than 5. I'm going to chop the number. I have 346. Next number, 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Rounding with the 6, that's 5 or greater. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit, and that 6 here becomes a 7, so 347. I need 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 3. I'm going to chop the number, and I'm going to have 100. Now, that number right there has 2 trailing zeros, and trailing zeros do not count unless there's what? That's right. Say it out loud. That is a decimal place. So now those 2 trailing zeros count, and now you do have 3 significant figures. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 5. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 101. No, you do not need a decimal at the end of this number because that 1 right here in the ones column counts regardless. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 7. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. 2.46. All right. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 4. That's less than 5. I'm going to chop the number. 2.45. All right. Leading zeros don't count. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 9. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 0.157. All right, we need to scroll this up because we got more problems to do. We got 48 in total. We've only done 7, but that's really not too bad. We've flown through those first 7. So let's scroll this on up and let's see what we can get going here. All right. Changing the paper weight here for just a little bit. All right, so here we go. We got leading zeros don't count, remember? And we have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 2. I'm going to chop the number 0.156. Leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 4. Chop the number since it's 0 through 4. Remember, leading zeros are important for placeholders, but they are not significant figures. Okay, 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. Leading zeros don't count. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit, 0.0766. Leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders. So 1, 2, 3, rounding with that 9. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 0.000629. Okay, I'm going to scroll this on up just a little bit more so you can see more of the problem here. All right, here we go. Leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders. You could actually write them right now at the front end because you're going to end up writing them anyway. So that's one way to deal with it. 1, 2, 3 significant figures, rounding with that 1. Chop the number 6 to 8. Remember, those leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders. So just write them down again. And now I have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 0. Chop the number 459. And the number is actually 0.00459. The leading zeros don't count for significant figures, but they are important placeholders. You could just dump them down right away. And I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures, and I got a 9. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit. And just like on the previous video on rounding, that 9 becomes a 10. I cannot fit that in one column. So I'm going to add 1 to the next preceding digit. That's a 4, a 6. And in order to maintain 3 significant figures, I'm going to have to add a 0 to this. Very important. All right, here we go. We got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I am rounding with that 7. I'm going to have to add 1 to the preceding digit. Now, on this particular problem here, you're going to imagine that you have dollars, and that will certainly help you. Remember, see where that comma is? I'm going to highlight that comma. That comma is very, very important. You are not going to move that comma anywhere. So I'm going to have that comma in the thousands position. But this 8 becomes a 9, and then in order to maintain that comma, I'm going to have some trailing zeros. Now, there is no decimal on this number because I do not want those zeros to count because it only has 3 significant figures here. Again, I'm going to put dollar signs on this so that you don't forget about it. And I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with the 4. Chop or truncate the number. Keep the comma where it belongs. 8 and a 0, 0. Okay, so these zeros here are trailing and there's no decimal in the number, so the zeros don't count. All right, just we are 1/3 of the way through here, folks. And remember, I am the Crazy Hat Chemist. Please watch my videos on YouTube, like and subscribe and all that kind of fun stuff. Yes, that's right. All right, here we go. The second third is Johnny. Okay. So here we go. We're going to try to knock these out right over here. Sliding on over, get my paperweights down. Okay, number 17, we got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 5. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit. Remember where that comma is, and that comma is very important. I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to do 3 and a comma, 9, 8, and I'm going to tack on a 0 to maintain that comma, if you will. Okay, 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I've got that 4. Remember, that's less than 5. I chop or truncate the number, but I'm going to keep that comma. So it's 3, 9, 7, and I am going to have to add a 0 to that. Okay, perfect. Let's keep on going here, folks. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. Add 1 to the preceding digit. I have another comma that I need to deal with here. 1007, and that will be a 9. And I am going to have to tack on a 0 onto this. Hopefully the color coding is helping you out. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 0. Chop the number, but remember, we got a comma, so it's 1,780. It's actually the same number that we started off with. Not too bad. Remember, the leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders. You can actually just rewrite them. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with the 2. Chop or truncate the number. That's 9, 8, and a 3. That's a simple way to deal with those leading zeros. And I got, again, 3 leading zeros, and that's 1, 2, 3 leading zeros. 1, 2, 3 significant figures, rounding with that 7, adding 1 to the preceding digit. That's 9, 8, and a 4. All right, next problem here. I got a 0.0. I'm going to tack that down 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I am rounding with this 9. I add 1 to the 9, then that becomes a 10. I'm going to add 1 to the next digit. Okay, so that will be a 3 and a 9. And then in order to maintain 3 significant figures, I'm going to have to add a 0 to that. Tack on these zeros here to begin with. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That 9 becomes a 10. Add 1 to the next preceding digit. So now I have 3, 9, and then a 0 again. Lo and behold, it's actually the same number. All right, so in order for us to do some more problems, we're going to have to scroll this little baby on up. So let's scroll this on up here and see how much further we can get. Drop these weights down so I'm not moving my paper that much. Here we go. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 4. That's 4, or that's 0 through 4. Chop or truncate the number. I got 0.123. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 5. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 0.124. And 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 9. Add 1 to the preceding digit. Remember, that's a comma. Keep it there. Commas you get to keep, right? Because commas are spelled with a K. Wait, I made you think. That's not true. Okay, and so this would be a 5, and then we're going to have to add a 0 to that to maintain that placeholder of that comma. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm running with that 0. Chop or truncate the number. That's 3,99, and you have to tack on that 0 to maintain that comma. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm running with that 4. I'm going to chop or truncate the number. And yes, those are trailing zeros. And there's a decimal in the number, so they do count. They do count because they're trailing zeros. All right. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 5. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 10.1. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 204. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Adding that 4 is less than 5. Chop or truncate the number 203. All right, we are 2/3 of the way done, folks. That is correct. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist, and please watch my videos on YouTube, like and subscribe, and you'll, I don't know, have positive karma. Okay, here we go. We're going to do the last third of these all the way up to 48. So let's see if we can put these up here where they belong. All right, there we go. So let's try this first number here. We got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm running with that 6. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 30.9. I'm going to tack on these zeros on the front end here. That's 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then I have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with the 7. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 4, 5, and a 9. 4, 5, and a 9. Okay, leading zeros don't count, but they're important for placeholders, so you are going to write them down on the front. And I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 7. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That 6 will become a 7. So I got 9, 8, and a 7. Let's change the pin here, folks, just for color coordination and mixing it up. Leading zeros don't count, so just tack them on the front end of that. I've got 3 of them, 1, 2, 3. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. That 4 is less than 5. Chop the number. I got 1, 2, and 3 there. These 2 zeros here, tack them on. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 7. I'm going to add 1 to the preceding digit. Since that 7 is 5 or greater, that 9 becomes a 10. Add 1 to the next preceding digit. So that's a 7, a 6. And yes, folks, that is correct. You are absolutely correct. I need to add a 0. Then I will have 3 significant figures because trailing zeros count with a decimal. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 7. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 101. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. And yes, that is correct. You are correct. I got a comma right there. So keep the comma. Commas you keep. And I got a 0 and a 3. And then I am going to have to tack on a 0 to maintain where that comma is. All right, let's scroll this up and do some more problems because we are just having way too much fun. Okay. So here we go. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Rounding with the 4, I'm going to chop or truncate the number because that 4 is less than 5. 308. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Rounding with the 5, that's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That becomes 138. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I got that 6. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 39.9. Okay, we're really close to the end. We are really close to the end. So let's see if we can scroll this up just a little bit more here. Boom, 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 boom. That's right. Here we go. Perfecto. Okay, looking good. Let's see here. Here we go. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist. Watch my videos on YouTube. That's right, folks. Here we go. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm running with that 7. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 40.9. I'm going to tack on these zeros on the front end and make sure that they are there as placeholders. That's very important. 0.0000. That's 4 zeros. Then I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm running with that 3. Chop or truncate the number. That's 8, 6, and a 7. Got all that on there on the paper there. That's good to hear. I got these leading zeros. I'm going to write those down because those are important for placeholders. And then I have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 8. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 8, 9, and a 1. Add that 0 there. I got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. And 5 is my number that I'm using for rounding. And that is 5, that's 7 I'm using for rounding. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 9, 8, and a 2. Second to last problem. We're almost there. Tack on these zeros on the front end so you don't lose them. Then I've got 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 0 that's less than 5. Chop the number 404. And the very last number, folks, that's right. Here we go. Number 48. 1, 2, 3 significant figures. I'm rounding with that 6. That's 5 or greater. Add 1 to the preceding digit. That's 1.09. Pencil drop. We are done. And let's see if we can zoom on out here and you can see this entire worksheet. And bada bing, bada boom. We got all these problems done. 1 through 48. I don't know if you can see all that. Yeah, there we go. You got them all on there. Yep, that's right. 1 through 48. We got those nailed. Those are awesome. That wasn't very much time, and I hope you held on so that you can now do this on your own. I hope you have a fantastic day. Like and subscribe. That's always a great thing. Give me a thumbs up. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist, and I will see you next time for another awesome video. Talk to you later. Bye for now.